You know, when people think about Bermuda and its industry, reinsurance always comes up first. It's the biggest industry in Bermuda. The island serves as a base for many of the world's top insurers. Take a step back for a moment here and talk about why you began exploring blockchain as a positive for Bermuda's leadership in this industry rather than a threat, because I think that has a lot to do with the origin story of crypto and blockchain in Bermuda.
Well, absolutely, and it's great to be here to talk to you and your audience. Bermuda is known as the world's risk capital. We have amazing insurance companies that are here, but back in 2017, like how today the conversation is all about AI, back then it was all about blockchain, and blockchain would be something that could put our main industries at risk. So what we said is that we wanted to make sure that our regulated financial services companies could innovate here locally under a regulated regime, have that clarity, and be able to then go ahead and develop. And so that's where all of this came from, making sure that we can have innovation in financial services based on our insurance market.
Well, as we mentioned, you made this announcement at Davos earlier this year. Since then, you've airdropped USDC to residents. You've piloted government fee payments through the DMV. You've built a Bermuda digital dollar on Stellar. Give us an update on how it's going so far.
Well, I think what it is, it's a journey, and I should take you back because 2018 is when we passed our Digital Asset Business Act. That Digital Asset Business Act allows us to license digital finance companies that we see, and some of the major names globally, whether it's Coinbase or Kraken or Circle, et cetera, all have Bermuda operations and where they're doing a number of things. At the Davos announcement, this was more around how do we go from having the companies that are regulated to actually making sure that blockchain payments and these things are integrated fully inside our economy. That's why we came with the On-Chain Economy Initiative, having partners such as Stellar, such as Coinbase, such as Circle, and others that are working alongside with us to make sure that as we build out across, citizens have access to these tools, businesses have access to these tools, and we're actually making sure the government is accepting them and making sure we distribute them. So we've made, the cabinet has approved changes to our acts where the government of Bermuda will be able to accept stablecoin payments, manage stablecoin payments, and invest in certain digital assets. And we're looking forward to making sure that we keep our leadership in the global digital asset regulation space.
One thing that strikes me is that Bermuda is able to be so nimble and so innovative, in part because of its small population. You have 60,000 people, and your size allows you to move and experiment quickly. You compare that with the U.S., which is a giant, a battleship. A skeptic might say that this is a fascinating sandbox, but perhaps irrelevant at scale. How would you respond to that?
Oh, well, I would say that Bermuda is certainly not irrelevant at scale. If you just look for where we started on our insurance industry, we are known as the home of regulated international financial services companies that want to make sure to push the envelope of innovation, and our regulatory regime is second to none globally. And so we always know that people will say these things about Bermuda, but the reality is that companies that are operating in our space know what they get clarity, and they have the ability to serve customers all around the world. So yes, we are a good sandbox, and we want to make sure we work with the United States. We have given testimony in Congress on numerous occasions. We have direct links with the SEC, with Treasury and others, and where we're sharing our information, knowledge on regulating this. The government of the United States has certainly reached out to us because, as the president has given his, I guess, push to make sure that the United States is able to have regulation around the digital asset industry, we are one of the people who have the most experience in doing it, as we've been doing it successfully for 8 years.
Mr. Premier, you chose USDC. It's the USD stablecoin issued by an American company as the backbone of the national payment system. Bermuda uses the Bermuda dollar. It's pegged 1-to-1 to the US dollar. If USDC becomes the dominant medium of exchange in Bermuda, have you effectively outsourced your monetary infrastructure to Circle and also the US regulatory system?
Well, that's a great question. And so there's a few things to say about that. Number one, USDC is easiest for us. We have a long relationship with Circle, and we're continuing to do that. But one of the things we want to do is to actually have a digital version of the Bermuda dollar. But here's the reality. The reality is that the Bermuda dollar itself, I like to call it the original stablecoin, as we're pegged 1-to-1. So maybe it's in a banknote form versus a digital form, but that's the same thing in which we are creating already. And so we're basically mirroring what exists currently right now in a digital form. But I think it's important important also to note that we are working with partners to launch the Bermuda digital dollar. And the Bermuda digital dollar, of course, will go alongside the other digital assets inside of our ecosystem. And we want to make sure that we build that out. That's going to be privately issued, as we do not want a central bank digital currency. But what we do want is, as our local dollars are currently issued privately as well by banks, we want to ensure that we are able to, I guess I would say, have the Bermuda dollar working alongside the US dollar as it does right now inside of our economy.